Now it's time for something really different. Hi everybody, welcome back to Plastic Models by a Regular Dude and part 1 of the Academy 1/32 scale Sopwith Camel. As I said in the beginning, this is something really different for this channel. I have built one World War I aircraft, and that was when I was in grade school back in the early 70s, and that was a Revell kit. I think it was a 1/28 scale biplane of some kind. Don't even remember what kind it was. Seemed like it was an Eddie Rickenbacker aircraft, but I don't know what he flew. But anyway, that's the last time I did one. So this is going to be quite a different thing for me. So before I get too much into the kit, I want to say a big thanks to Keith Short for hooking me up with this kit to build. Knowing that I had never built one before, he thought I needed a different challenge, and this looks like it's going to be one. So let's dive into this kit and see what it's all about. First off, according to ScaleMates, this kit was first tooled by Hobbycraft in 1990 as a new tool kit. Got new decals in 97. Then in 2000, it jumped over to Academy. Now this particular boxing, the copyright says 2001. So at that point, it got some new decals, I guess. And then from there, it goes on up to, looks like the most recent boxing of it by Academy was new decals again in 2016. So it's had changes from 1990 all the way up until 2016. And it's all been either just new boxes or new decals. So let's take a look at the box. First, we have Academy Hobby Model Kits, Sopwith Camel F1 in 1/32 scale. It is kit number 2189. Nice artwork on the box, nice painting, 2 aircraft flying over a river, some villages down below. Pretty cool. On the side of the box, we've got photos of the actual finished kit. A little bit of information there. Same stuff on the end. On this side, more photos of the finished kit, the different languages for ages 14 years and up. And no cement included. Copyright 2001. Now inside the box, we've got on top here the instructions. Get back to those in a little bit. Got some decals. Academy Plastic Model Company. Printed in Korea. We'll get back to those. Oh, and some thread. Talk about that later. And then the plastic parts. So let me get these out. We've got a couple of sprues, a couple of large wing pieces, and 1 sprue in a bag. Then we have this thing here. It's a warning card. Then we have a card indicating tools and supplies that you'll need for the kit. All right, so let's take a look at the plastic first, then we'll get to the instructions and decals. So we have the upper and lower wings. Look pretty good, except for, and I had read this before, there's some pretty gnarly ejector pin marks in the upper surfaces, which I guess is better than being in the lower surfaces. Shouldn't be too hard to fix. Smooth them out a little bit and then fill them and sand them out. But there's 1, 2, 3 on each side. There's a few here, but those are of no consequence because they're going to be they're not going to be exposed. Detail looks okay. I mean, World War I aircraft is just totally foreign to me, so I'm not going to know what's really good detail or not, other than just general experience with model kits. And this looks okay. It's got pretty pronounced ribbing. which is fine, I guess. And then on the lower wing, we got the same thing. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ejector pin marks with like kind of another one right there that's faint. But again, these are all recessed, so I should be able to fill those in with some sprue goo or something, and then be able to get those sanded out. It's got hinge detail on here, which looks pretty decent. You might not be able to actually see what I'm talking about, but you can see the hinge detail there. You know, the separation between the outside segments and the inside to create a hinge. So that's the wings. Okay, so now we've got sprue A. Let me zoom in a little bit here. And, you know, there's not very many parts in this kit, but, you know, no big deal. The parts, the detail looks good on them, looks decent. I guess. Instrument panel, raised detail for the bezels, simulated wicker seat. Ribbing of some kind on the inside of this upper cowling part where the machine guns go. There is a bit of flash, mold seam lines along the edges of these struts, but you know, nothing that can't be handled. I'm assuming that's rudder pedals, and that's the yoke. So, I mean, it looks decent. I mean, there's a little bit of cleanup involved, but it doesn't look too serious. At least the wheels don't look like they're slid from the mold. It's like both sides are lined up, so it's just a matter of getting the mold seam line off. But again, there's pretty gnarly ejector pin marks. Those are, man, they're like, that one like right there is part of it's below the surface and part of it's above the surface. So it's pretty gnarly. And yeah, so that looks pretty good. That's sprue A. Sprue B are the fuselage halves, the horizontal stabilizer, some engine parts which finally molded. They do look good. These machine guns, which thank goodness they are molded in one piece, so these cooling jackets aren't like separate or anything. Then you have the engine here, the actual cylinders, and then the front cowl. Now, one thing I will note that the sprue gates here are pretty small, so the cleanup should be fairly easy. There you go. That is all of the parts. Let's take a quick look at these instructions. I'm not going to go too detailed with them, but it's a big fold-out affair. Information on the aircraft in 1, 2, 3, 4 languages. Usual stuff. Read this before you begin. Then the actual instructions themselves. Now it gives heat sprue is shown, remove from heat and stretch, allow to cool and cut to required length. I'm not seeing what that's for exactly. Yeah, looking at the instructions, I'm not sure exactly what this 5mm length of sprue is supposed to be for. I don't see it anywhere. If you know, if you have experience or you see it and I'm not, please put it in the comments section down below. But anyway, then it shows some of the rigging. Tells us, describes what length you're supposed to cut them, to thread them through. Oh, I see now. I get it now. This is to keep your thread from pulling through the holes in the fuselage. Okay, so that makes sense. So it's like a little toggle kind of thing. You tie your thread around it, and you know, your thread or easy line or whatever you're using, tie that through, and that will keep it from pulling through. So that makes sense. There we go. Okay. But anyway, it's the fuselage halves with the cockpit, and then you get into the engine. Then you start on with the wings and more rigging, and we got rigging for the tail. More rigging pulled through for the, I'm assuming for the supports for the landing gear. And on the bottom here, it gives you the colors that you need, and it is just basic: flat black, flat white, red, metallic gray, gunmetal, wood brown, desert sand, dark brown, khaki green, and aluminum. So it's just giving you the basics. So you have to just determine what colors in your paint line match best and go with that. More rigging lengths. Looks like most of the construction on this thing involves rigging, so that should be interesting. So there are 8 assembly steps, and as far as the plastic go, there's not a whole lot. It's just the rigging that looks like it's going to be the challenge, especially for somebody like me who's never done it. Then we have 2 aircraft. We have one for Captain A.R. Brown, which is the box art. The box art markings, and then we've got Sopwith Camel F1 number 43 Squadron RF mid 1918. Doesn't say whose it is or anything like that. So I'm not sure if I'm going to go with the decals or if I'm going to paint the markings on. That I will have to determine. Now, obviously, some of them, like these smaller ones, I'm going to have to use those. And I'll probably use these smaller ones. But these larger ones, like the roundels and the stripes and all that, I think I'm going to spray those on. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. And then, like I said, this is the thread that you're supposed to use for the rigging. But I'm going to be using Easy Line instead, which is this stuff here. It's kind of an elasticy, stretchy stuff that you can pull tight, and it remains taut, so it looks right. It doesn't sag. You don't have to worry about pulling it too hard and twisting something out of shape on the aircraft. Then on the back page, we have a layout of all of the parts. So that is that. All right, let's take a look at these here decals. Now, these are copyright 2000, and they actually look pretty good. They look like really ultra thin, so that is not too shabby. So that raises the question, do I paint the markings or do I spray them on? Do I spray them on or do I use the decals? These are really nice. They seem really nice. We'll ponder that and see what we're going to do. But anyway, they look really nice. The print is really good. Everything seems to be in register. And these here look like to be 2-part. Maybe. No, maybe not. Oh, yeah. So he says 7270, so that's just white. So you'd put that on top of it. So I don't know where those are going to go. But, yeah, the decals look pretty good. I can't remember if I've ever used Academy decals. So it'll be interesting to see how those work out. All right, so I think that's all the box content. So I think for painting this aircraft, I'm going to be using a combination of SMS paints for like the olive drab, a mix of SMS and MRP paints for the markings, And then for any hand brushing, I'll be using my usual suspects, which is Vallejo Model Color. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So thanks for following along with part 1 of the Academy 1/32 scale Sopwith Camel F1. If you want to follow along, hit that subscribe button. Maybe hit notifications. That kind of thing. If you have any experience with this kit, if you could put some comments down in the comments section down below, or even experience with one of the other Academy World War I aircraft, I would like to hear your thoughts. So, that's it for now. Thanks for watching Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and I'll see you all later.